All right, welcome to Tinfoil Hat live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Studios adjacent. Just go to samtripoli.gold, use the promo code Tinfoil, and you too can get in on the Price Smells game for as little as $50 a month. It's quick, easy. Very excited. Big day here at Tinfoil Hat. We have one of the members of Mount Crushmore here. Voted one of the best guests of the first 500 episodes of Tinfoil Hat. We were just talking about hopefully we can get him out there for the big 1,000. To know him is to love him, one of the best in the business. Please welcome my good friend and yours, Isaac Weishaupt. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. I'm super nervous to be back on here, but I'm live from the Mushroom-Minati Watcher Coffee Studio. So
dude, get it in. Get it in, dude.
I took that from you. I took that from you guys.
You have a promo code? You can push a promo code.
I'm an idiot. I'm a terrible businessman. I've got no, what do you call it? Fluffed up profit margin, so I can't do the promo codes. But
have you seen this big controversy? Not to jump off topic, because I know you have something you want to talk about. Have you seen the controversy on Twitter right now about supposedly a bunch of people in the, I don't know if you want to call it truth community, the red pill community, they have a sports betting website that is offshore, and there's no like actual place you can go to file grievance or anything like that. And for some reason, everyone's going nuts on them about having a sports betting website as a sponsor. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, I didn't know anything about that. I know that the gambling, anything with like gambling, nicotine, politics, kind of, I've heard comments from people, because I'll have my dynamic ads placed, and sometimes they'll put in ads like that, and I've heard people like, "Oh, you love Joe Biden." I'm like, "Whoa, what the hell are you talking about?" They're like, "Well, the ad is playing," you know. But yeah, no, I my sponsorships, I try to keep to the things I know. Like recently, I was trying to recruit some new sponsors, and I bought a bunch. I'm not going to name the name of the company, but I bought a bunch of this company's products. I was excited because I was like, "Oh, this is going to work," and they tasted like shit. I was like, "Man, I'm not doing this." But yeah,
let me ask you something.
The sponsor game's hard.
If DraftKings came to you and we're like, "We would love to sponsor your podcast,"
I don't know. I'd have to think about it, because I've seen some people critiquing Kevin Hart for doing all the commercials for DraftKings, and I get it, because like I don't have those issues of gambling or whatever, and some people do. So I don't know. Probably not. I lean towards probably not, but I'm not. I don't like judge other people either. I'm like,
yeah, I get it. I would do it.
What's the issue with the international gaming thing? Because I mean, a lot of reputable establishments are set up overseas because of the stupid ass state to state laws here in this country.
Well, that gets into it. If you have an issue with the website itself, I could totally understand that. If you're like, this platform is ran by, they're saying Pakistanis, which for some reason it makes it like darker. I don't know why, but you got a problem with Pakistani gambling websites. Okay, I can understand that. But if, let's say, again, it's DraftKings, what would be the issue there? Well, it's advice and stuff like that. Well, I see these people smoking pot on their websites. And, dude, I'm in recovery. I see people coming in to these meetings with with weed problems, and this weed isn't like your grandpa's weed. It's like it's like crystal meth. Hand to God, it's like they have the same kind of psychosis going on. So I mean, as long as it's not illegal, obviously someone's answer was pornography. Well, we won't have a porn sponsor on the show. Those days when Joe Rogan was doing Fleshlight, those were wild days back then. But yeah. I have a lot of people to take care of. It's just interesting to me the way the conspiratorial, the right wing, the red pill community is constantly fighting for mainstream acceptance. And then when they get something like mainstream acceptance, like sponsorship, they get fucking so angry at it, and it drives me nuts. And if you don't want to do it,
interesting. You're right, Sam. It's a fascinating history of the whole thing, because we've all been doing this a long time now, and my business model is mostly the show survives on the Patreon supporters, and then I'll sell shirts and sign books and freaking coffee on my website to, that gives me a little tattoo money here and there or whatever. And some guys like Greg Carwood, man, that dude won't take a spot. He won't do sponsors. He won't do ads. And I respect that. Like, it's fine. Everyone's got their own business model. So I guess it depends. And I personally don't have a problem. Like, if a porn company came to me, I would consider that. And I guess this is all like perspectives and filters, right? Like, to me, I'm like very pro porn. I don't have a problem with that. I'm pro strip clubs and all that stuff. But I do recognize that's destructive for some people too. So it is kind of, hypocritical in a way, because I think sometimes with gambling, I that hits me in a different way than porn does. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little subjective.
Yeah, it is. And teach your own. Listen, it's like, I'm 53 years old, dude. Like, the days of doing shit for free is like done. It's just like, and like, you work harder when you're rewarded more. And if you're a podcast that reaches a lot of people, and people want to be able to advertise those people, I don't see why you wouldn't take money. I wouldn't take money for your hard work. Like, I know that what was the sponsor that Seven Seas was talking about?
Wellness company.
Oh yeah.
Wellness company. Well, wellness company. Like, it's so funny. He talked about us that day we get an email from them. They're like, "Are you guys listening to us? What the fuck?" But we turned it down because he says it's part of the war machine. The military industrial complex. So we turned it down because we're not with that. But I don't know why people have a problem with people wanting to make money off their hard work. My dad said that. My dad was a crazy man who lived a crazy life, did his best, could have used some spirituality in his life, and he used to say to me, "Don't get mad at someone for making a buck. If you're doing it honestly, what's the problem there?" I just wanted to get your take on that, because that is such an, there's some people just fighting this, especially when we're so shadow banned everywhere.
Yeah,
like,
totally, dude. Yes.
It's so hard for me to sell a ticket because no one sees my shit. They don't know. I can't tell you how many times I have fans go, "You were in town?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. You can't see my shit anywhere because they shadow ban me to the dark realms." I don't know what to do about it, So it's like, I got to make money. I got kids. I got extended family to take care of. What am I going to do?
That's what people don't understand about this business, because when I did that lecture with Jay Dyer in Vegas, he was telling me, he was kind of coaching me into it, because I had never done it before, and I was trying to help him sell tickets, and he was like, "Dude, you gotta say it like 20 times on every podcast, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Bro, this is kind of overkill." But he was like, "You don't understand. You're going to get people afterwards that say, 'Oh, I didn't know you were doing it.'" And you're like, I couldn't have said it any more times. And so it's true. It's like, we are constantly sort of shunned from mainstream acceptance, which I actually like that about our group, because someone asked me about this not too long ago. Yeah. And I actually prefer it that way, to be honest, but it does suck for trying to make a living out of this. So
yeah, we're Slayer, dude. We're Slayer. That's what Eddie Bravo calls us, Slayer. So let's get back to what you wanted to talk about. We were talking a little bit earlier. Very fascinating. Where would you like to start?
Yeah, this is a great segue to talk about not being able to get mainstream acceptance and corporate sponsorship, because I've got a controversial theory I've been building. It's about Charlie Kirk, and I've been tweaking this a little bit. I've been working on it since the day he got assassinated, September 10th, 2025. And what I'm seeing
right off the bat, did you instantly know it was an inside job or something like that, or were you just shocked?
No, I was.
Why are you jumping him, like everyone else,
dude?
Man. Let him get into it. Oh my God!
No, my bad. I just wanted to
know what you thought about it.
That's cool. That's cool. XG.
Let's hear what he has to say before you start asking him questions.
I like XG's energy, man. I like it. He's into this
too. It's just shitty for a podcast because he has a presentation. Let him present it, then you can ask that question.
It's an off week, guys. Give him a break. It's an off week on the shrooms.
So Charlie Kirk gets assassinated on September 10th, and since then, I've been looking at this. I've done a couple shows on my podcast talking about it. But the more I look at it, the more I put some other research I've put together, I see what I see is like this 1,000-year timeline that goes back to Solomon's Temple, Freemasonry, the Knights Templar, the assassination of JFK, and the foundational document upon which my theory that I'm working with here is James Shelby Downard's King Kill 33. And what we're talking about is this mass death ritual of Charlie Kirk. And James Shelby Downard, and I'm going to talk about all these things. I'm going to unpack all of this on our show today. But Downard was saying that America is this massive witch's cauldron full of death and rebirth psychodramas. And it's orchestrated by this Freemasonic cryptocracy, aka the Illuminati. And all of the people that all the red pill daddies I've had over the years have talked about the same concept of this inner circle of elites, whether you want to call them the Illuminati or the Freemasons or whatever, right? But it's this general idea of some architects of our reality. And when I look at all these pieces and then I plug it into a lot of my heavy research into the Dark Enlightenment, which is where they want to take us, combined with a bit of this apocalypse end times fantasy that they're trying to bring about, I think it's all connected. And I'll try my best to present that today.
The Dark Enlightenment is once again an example of how rich kids always create the dumbest, most dangerous ideas. Yeah. Like, it's like communism, Marxism, Dark Enlightenment. It's just like a bunch of rich kids just fantasizing about the ridiculous and trying to impose it on us in our reality, which is kind of what we got into with Amy Belair, which is, God's reality versus this false reality that is being funded by everything, by the Federal Reserve and all that shit. It's like so crazy how dangerous rich kids are. It's just nuts to me.
It's a real problem. And, Aleister Crowley, he's a component of all this in a way.
Yeah,
he was a rich kid. These guys just have too much time on their hand. Like,
they have too much time on their fucking hands, dude.
Yeah. So I'd like to start with the Knights Templar. I'm trying to structure this show. I would say probably the first half is me going through this history of all these pieces and how they fit into Charlie Kirk, which would probably be like the second half or last third or whatever. And for the Knights Templar, we have to go back to the time of the Crusades. And this was a Catholic military order established to help Christians access the Holy Land. And the Knights Templar were headquartered in Jerusalem at the Temple Mount, where Solomon's temple was at one time. Well, twice, I should say. And the claim is that when the Knights Templar were there, they were digging around underground looking for these lost relics and such, and they found them. And because of that, they grew to have this immense power and this wealth, and they utilized the first banking techniques and made this network all over Europe. So they became super powerful. And this persisted for a couple hundred years, and then they became a threat because they accumulated too much wealth and power. So King Philip issues a decree to have all the Knights Templar arrested on October 13th, 1307. That's Friday the 13th.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where that's all rooted from. Then Pope Clement V would also be pressured to support the arrest of the Knights Templar. So he issues a papal edict for their arrest on November 22nd. And November 22nd, of course, is a major component to the James Shelby Downard theory, because that's when JFK was assassinated in 1963. So the Knights Templar, they were, they started out very poor, and their flag was, at least as far as the recorded history of this goes, which you guys already know, like, we're all very skeptical of recorded history. I mean, who knows what really happened when? But the story is that these guys were really poor, and when their flag would be two dudes sitting on one horse, like they would have to share one horse because they were so poor, right?
Two dudes, one horse.
It's the early two girls, one cup. And some claim that this was a reference to communism or socialism and sharing of wealth. Bill Cooper talked about this a bunch. And their first name was the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ in the Temple of Solomon. Okay.
That's a lot. It's
too much. They had to cut that down. So the story is that they were poor and they had to survive on donations from charities. And eventually they were able to accumulate their own wealth and start the banking network, right? So part of the story of there's two major ideas of why the Knights Templar had to get taken down. One was that they were a financial threat. Another was that they were doing anti-Christian activities. So the Friday the 13th, when the king ordered their arrest, he charged them with both of those, financial fraud and doing obscene rituals. And these rituals allegedly included various like homosexual activities. They would spit on the cross. They would perform these death and rebirth rituals, which is a major component of what we'll talk about throughout the show today, which, you know, ties us into Freemasons and the Skull and Bones. They all do this kind of stuff. And they worshiped the head of a goat, which is supposed to be Baphomet. All right.
What?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Baphomet, and it's supposed to, some people say it's the actual head of John the Baptist. But the point is that they called this goat head, this Baphomet head, the seat of intellect, which ties into the idea of the Luciferian brain. But the rituals they would do were considered obscene, and they would use a lot of sort of symbolism of death, right? And this goes back to King Solomon, because they're very much tied into the Temple of Solomon. And King Solomon would use rituals of necromancy in order to raise Hiram Abiff from the dead. Hiram Abiff is a name we'll talk about when we get into Freemasonry a little more. He's kind of the founder in this sort of mythologized story about the death and rebirth. It's supposed to be a play on the Egyptian resurrection of Osiris death and rebirth ritual. Just know that like there's all these connections with the Freemasons and King Solomon, the Knights Templar, and so on. So in my research, I've got a book by Dennis Wheatley called The Devil and All His Works. And he talks about how all of these pieces of the puzzle come together. And he says that the Knights Templar were founded through Godfrey Saint Omer, who was a Cathar Gnostic, which was very established organized religion Christian, right? And the Baphomet was actually what inspired the group, because they had learned this from a bunch of Arab mystics called the Assassins, the secret society order in the Middle East. So again, we'll lump another group into this, the Assassins. It's a secret society, and the initiates from all these groups would do the same thing. They would spit and step on the cross. They would renunciate Christ. They would get naked. They would do male orgies and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
So
the
all
smells.
of this, especially back then, like 1200, 1300, brutal. Absolutely. You got to really want it back then. So they would all utilize forms of magic, and this magic, these rituals would be brought to America through the Golden Dawn, a different order. And the Templar were learning all about politics through the Assassins. And with the Assassins, their philosophy was, the name the Assassins comes from what they would do. They would assassinate political leaders and rivals. And they were doing a lot of major psychological operations. They would they were totally fine with lying about their true religious intent. They would do whatever it took to blend in and to get the approval of the people, because to them, they thought that the Templars and the Assassins both thought that it was all right to commit crimes as long as you did it for the higher calling of the order, right? This Illuminati group, whatever. So the killing of JFK, the assassination of JFK, was supposedly revenge for the destruction of the Knights Templar, because, like I said, they issued these laws to break down the Knights Templar. They were disbanded. They spread underground, which is also how the Bavarian Illuminati was broken up. And the leader of the Knights Templar at the time, Jacques de Molay, was actually burned at the stake, which is curious because later on there would be this Order of de Molay Society for young Freemasons. And, Walt Disney was a member of the Order of de Molay and so on.
Oh my God.
So the connections there are pretty literal, right? And the belief is that there's some amalgamation of Freemasons, Bavarian Illuminati, Knights Templar, the Assassins, and they're orchestrating society. They're sort of doing these rituals on a mass level, and they're doing it for magical purposes. They're doing magical workings to change the world. And when you look at what the Baphomet is all about, that's the goat with the boobs. It represents the alchemical process of is it like on the Baphomet's forearms, there's tattoos that says solve and coagula, which means to dissolve and to bring back together, right? It's about tearing down and rebuilding. It's an alchemical idea. And this goes back to other magicians. It's like Archimedes' lever. They say if you give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum, I can move the world, right? That's kind of how they look at this. So it makes sense when you start looking at how all these political players are seemingly rolling us down one path. Like people always say the left and the right are two birds or two wings of one bird. This kind of explains how that works, right? And it's believed that what they're trying to do is move us into this new age where they are taking us into this, and this is obviously open to interpretation, this Luciferian one world order stuff, the control system. And they're showing us the truth about their belief systems, what they call the revelation of the method that they're slowly rolling out. An example would be, because you see this in pop culture all the time, which is like, that's my shtick on my podcast. I always try to unpack pop culture events and look for occult symbolism and this big, larger conspiracy in it. Like J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter books, right? Which is obviously about actual magic. And there's lots of like characters in the story and actual incantations they use that are real, that have done shows and wrote about. But J.K. Rowling, she's got the solve et coagula tattoo on her arm as well, right? The same one as the Baphomet. And
whoa.
So she's obviously into this stuff, right? And that Harry Potter movement missed my generation just barely. So I'm friends with a lot of people that are just slightly younger than me, and they're obsessed with this stuff. They've all got the Deathly Hallows tattoos and
love
stuff.
They love it. Yeah.
I read the books growing up. It's all about it's right. It was right up my alley, and my sister was in love with it, and it bleeds into like high school, and they're still doing it till this day. I think they're bringing it back, right? HBO has a rerun of it.
Yeah, it's strange because it's a reboot of the whole thing. Which is not, it's not so old that it needs an entire reboot. They're pissing a lot of people off. There's like a guy, they're recasting the races and stuff.
Yeah. It's like everyone's black and trans in this one.
Yeah, but it's clear that they want to kind of rerun that script, Isaac, for a new generation.
I wasn't aware they were redoing it.
It's been cast mostly.
Wow.
It's confirmed, it's starting. I think they're starting shooting relatively soon.
All right, guys, real quick. Listen, the crypto markets are getting crazy. And listen, there's some value. You can make money, get in, get out. But you're like, what cryptos do I buy? Very simple. Go to copymycrypto.com. Our good friend, James McMahon, and Copy My Crypto, he'll let you know what's popping. Let me tell you about Copy My Crypto. Has it pissed you off to watch crypto fly up in price for over a decade and you still done nothing about it? Yeah, it makes sense. Crypto is complicated and real boring. Well, here's the good news. You don't need to know a thing about crypto to make money like so many have. The copymycrypto.com membership site shows you the exact cryptos that YouTuber James McMahon personally owns, which means you just copy him, okay? It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing about crypto or how to invest, as you just simply copy along. So let me tell you about James. James runs the Crypto with James YouTube channel, which has over 93,000 subscribers right now. In the summer of 2020, he told his viewers to buy 26 cryptos. Had you put $100 in each one, it went on to be worth over $123,000. That's a lot of money. Of the 26 cryptos, his top pick of the year, the one he singled out, called Phantom, went up 692 times. That one call alone retired a number of people, including guys and gals in their 20s and 30s. Remember, this is public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify for yourself. If you'd like to join the 2,800 members who copy James, then pause what you're doing right now and head over to copymycrypto.com/TFH. That's copymycrypto.com/TFH. Okay, you'll not only find proof of everything that I've said, but our viewers get full access for just $1. Okay, yes. You missed out on Bitcoin, maybe a little bit by chunks, but you know there's over 2 million other cryptos. Do you really think you miss out on all of them? Guys, don't waste any more time. Go to the site and read it. Okay, once again, that's copymycrypto.com/TFH. It's ended money worries for so many, it just may do the same for you. And we thank James for sponsoring the show. Guys, as you know, society is crumbling. It's going to take men to regulate, and I'm calling for vigilantism, okay? And if you want to be a vigilante, one thing vigilantes have are the best clothes. You got to have action clothes where you can go in and out. Let's say you're at a high-end functional event, a high-function event. You got to go meet, shake hands, kiss babies, and all of a sudden you hear a scream from the alley. You got to run out, and you got to be able to fight, and there's no better street gear for the boardroom, for the dance floor, and for the streets is our friends at True Classic, okay? Regulators, mount up, all right? I'm talking about the best gear out there. I'm talking about pants that look good that you can also kick high to the head, okay? Form-fitting stuff that doesn't let everybody see that you got some chi-chis or a gut. And guess what? If you got a gut, that's just more power, more twerk for your punch, okay? Don't look at it as a negative. Look at it more power for you to take out crime and keep the streets safe for the ladies. Because you know what happens when the ladies feel safe? Everyone gets laid. Thank you, True Classic, okay? If you want to make the world safer for ladies to get weird at, then try our good friends at True Classic. They got everything. They got pants. They got shorts. They got shirts. They've got, keep going down. What else do they got? They got, go back one. Come on.
It's not working. It's the internet. We go.
Okay, they got bestsellers. They got shirts. They got, look at those, man. That is perfect. Am I at the beach or am I about to inflict justice on some stupid criminals? I don't know. Either way, I'm good to go. Look at that, dude. Look at that, man. Go back to men's real quick. It's absolutely insanity. Long sleeves, short sleeves, flash deals, bestsellers, bottoms, outwear, dress shirts, boxers, and more. Tall, short, you name it. Whatever you look like, you can be a wrecking ball of justice and get all the pussy you want. It's that good. Right, Johnny? Tell us about it.
You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club, or head to trueclassic.com/tinfoil to grab the perfect gift for everyone on your list. They've also got just a list of stocking stuffers, which are great. Highly recommend True Classic for Christmas.
Ho, 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 eat my fist.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, and I get in trouble a lot because when I start talking like this, I start pulling in a lot of the hardcore like evangelical Christian fan base, and then they get to know me and find out I'm a degenerate, and then they get mad at me, and I'm like, well,
welcome to my world.
Yeah, because the evangelicals I know are really out on the whole Harry Potter thing, big time. But they've been debating against that for a while.
Yeah, and I'm a Greek Orthodox, and my priest. Well, we had a couple priests, and the one he was a little bit more monastic than the other. He also was very anti Harry Potter and Da Vinci Code, which I read Da Vinci Code still, like, and with the Orthodox Church, it's very. I think people get a weird idea about church and Christianity in general, and they think it's like this hard, fast rule. Like, my priest didn't sit down and say, whatever you do, you're not going to read this Da Vinci Code book. He just was like, it's dangerous for your soul. Like, do what you will, right? And be careful.
Listen,
I think it's the right way.
They were right about so much stuff, right? Like, about all this stuff in music, all this stuff in modern art, culture. They were totally right. It was presented at the wrong time. And then after like 2 decades of seeing all this evidence, people are like, oh yeah, they're totally doing all that. And this is an introduction to this anti-nature, anti-God movement. Well, I mean, I believe it's anti-God, but maybe they don't see it that way. They see it as Baphomet is, I don't know what they believe, but it's just, it's happening. And and church is now seeing a resurgence of people going back to it because they did the anti-nature movement, and it has been disastrous for everybody. So now they all want to go back to what it was. And again, it's kind of like every generation zigs and zags, right?
Yeah, totally.
So one people are like, I hate church, and then the next generation like, I'm going back. I don't want to have kids. The next generations, I'm totally gonna have kids. It's just the way it goes. Every generation hates the generation before it. They think they're dumb and old, so they want to go the exact opposite way.
Yeah, and I try to give voice to the people that I believe in Christ. I try to follow Christ, but I also have problems with a lot of organized religions, particularly Christianity, because that's my flavor. So like I feel like I can judge it the hardest. But there's a lot of things I think that I don't know. I'm at odds with a lot of people that sort of self-professed Christians. But
Any power structure is going to get corrupted. I mean, it's just
totally,
it's about
yeah,
control and power.
Right. And I think that people need to like take a step back and take a breath sometimes, because it's hard for me, because I talk about this stuff and then they immediately go to like, oh, let's cancel all these movies and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I kind of like some of these movies, man. I just want to raise awareness so you can decide how much you want to let this sort of infiltrate your life,
Yes.
But like Hocus Pocus, I did a show on the original Hocus Pocus movie back, I don't know, 4 years ago. I did this show and it blew my mind. It was probably the craziest thing I've ever discovered, where if you watch the movie, there's a part at the beginning where there's a spell book that drops and the pages flip, right? And if you freeze frame it, you can catch the Latin incantation. And I Googled that. I was able to track it down. I found it in this book called The Complete Book of Spells, Ceremonies, and Magic. And I bought the book, got in the mail, and turns out that exact page, that exact incantation is from a satanic ritual where
God.
It's a sex magic ritual where the witches are they're kissing the anus of a goat, which is supposed to symbolize the devil. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And it's in a kids movie.
And and I think like, I mean, what decisions were made to get that to that point, and it could just be some kind of prank, but I don't know. That seems like a lot of effort to go into a prank.
People do that all the time. They're like, well, they were just having fun, but you're like, it happens all the time.
Yeah,
it seems somewhat purposeful.
Should there be like warning on like movies on like conspiracies, like where it starts like this is like very Illuminati based, like how there's like parental, but now there's like for conspiracy there's like you might want to not red pill yourself for this one.
That's a great idea. Yeah, but the
run
whole
with that,
purpose,
XG. Run with that.
the whole purpose, like I said, so to sort of like put a little tiny bow on this, so we can move on to James Shelby Downard. The whole purpose of this is revelation of the method. It's saying, it's showing us the tactics they are using to build this enslavement system, so that we ultimately accept it. They want us conditioned to see these things that are, evil, violence, so that we ultimately end up accepting blood sacrifices to these like pagan alien gods, because that's where they want to take us to, is back to the ancient religion, which we've moved on from, but they still practice these sort of things, these blood sacrifices, like at the top of the Chichen Itza temple, where they're pulling out people's hearts and stuff like that. That's kind of the idea. I mean, it might be a little sensational, but all these groups, what I'm laying the foundation for is that there's this sort of control system. The Knights Templar, the Assassins, they all play a role in this, because that's kind of what you need to understand James Shelby Downard, who we'll talk about because he wrote this book, King Kill 33. Downard, he was kind of the original symbolism conspiracy guy. If there was a Super Bowl halftime show, he would have been the guy to unpack and decode the thing, right? And he popularized synchromysticism, this idea of like meaningful coincidences that happen, and symbolism and synchronicities kind of all tied together. And I don't know that he was the first to talk about an Illuminati type control group, but he was one of the early people. And so he wrote up King Kill 33 with Michael Hoffman, which I think you guys had Michael Hoffman on this year, I think.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that dude's phenomenal. But yeah, he was buddies with Downard, and I've read one of his books. I bought Twilight Language. I got to read that one, and I'd love to interview him too, because he obviously is sort of steeped in the same ideas. And this King Kill 33 is all about this Freemasonic cryptocracy control system that was using symbolism, sex magic, sacred locations, and this mass ritual to assassinate JFK for the killing of the king. And he describes it as the purpose for that was to control the dreaming mind, right?
Ooh.
And he's talking about alchemy, talking about changing all of humanity. And we experienced this in our way, right? In our generation, we had 9/11, we had the pandemic, and these were all sparking massive changes towards the control system. They all made sure to take these events and
traumatize us
and get us closer to a control system or a surveillance state, right? But Downard, he didn't make it to 9/11. He died in the 90s, and he's written a couple books. I've got Carnivals of Life and Death, and I want to do an appropriate deep dive on Downard because he is pretty fascinating. Adam Gorightly, he wrote a book called James Shelby Downard's Mystical War, and then he just released one called Stalking the Great Whore, which is about Downard, right? But yeah, Downard was like kind of nutty, right? He claims in Carnivals of Life and Death, his life story involves being born into this weird Freemasonic family, and they were doing all this ritual magic stuff, and he claims that he was being abused. He was part of this ritual abuse network, and he was MK Ultra basically. So he, again, one of the first figures ever to publicly talk about this kind of thing, because there's a lot of people today that talk about being victims of satanic ritual abuse and MK Ultra and all this stuff. And I don't know if they're telling the truth or not. How can I tell? But he was one of the first to actually claim that he was born into that sort of thing.
It's crazy. Hold on one second. I have to go get new headphones real quick. My things are glitching out. I'll be right back. Yeah, so I wonder if he was a part of that, and how much of that are those things you can actually leave, right? Like, can you leave those satanic organizations? Is it like the CIA, where like once you're in, you're always in?
I think for a guy like him, back in when he was talking about all this stuff through like the 70s, 80s, 90s, right? And especially back then, I don't think they had to worry about that kind of stuff. I think they thought, yeah, tell your crazy story. Let's see who believes you, right?
Yeah, that's true. How did they even get the word out? How did people find out about them? Through just books?
I guess, yeah, and that's the interesting part. And that's what I'd like to talk to Michael Hoffman about, because I don't know how that worked back then, because we faced a certain amount of censorship, but we're still able to have a presence online, but they just kind of suppress the algorithm for us. But people like that, I have no idea how it worked, right? That's like trying to explain to a kid today about landline phones back in the day. They probably think like, how did you guys like find each other and plan things, right? It seems bizarre now. But yeah, he writes this.
Probably public access television and stuff like that. They put out a book and just go on all these shows. It's like, it's crazy. And I lived through that stuff, and it's just crazy to me. Like,
yeah.
Like getting directions now, when you think about when someone would give you directions and they would just be like, go over here, go over here, go over here, go over here. And you just trusted them that they told you the truth, and you would just go that way. And you were like, I hope I get there. Now it's like, I mean, dude, you just use your GPS. It's so much easier. But back then, how did we get anywhere?
Dude, it was great. Back in 99, I joined the military and I got stationed. I lived, I'm from PA originally, from Southeast PA, and I got stationed in Utah, and I had to drive my car. And this is before GPS on a phone, and I remember I printed out the instructions. It was like this packet of paper from MapQuest or some shit. And I printed it out, and I was such an idiot. I had no clue what I was doing. I drove through PA and all these weird little back roads and shit I swear it took me 10 hours to get out of PA, when, like, now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, I should have just taken the turnpike. It would have gotten me right through, but I told it I didn't want to pay any tolls, Anyway, yeah, it's a different world, right? Anyway,
different world.
So Downard writes this essay called King Kill 33. It's kind of like a short book, and it's super dense. It's a challenging read for sure. And
it's a challenging read.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I got it right here. Hold on.
Yeah, and I did a 3-part deep dive on my podcast this summer trying to unpack the whole thing because it's really difficult to understand.
This is it.
Wow.
And you read it and it's just fucking nuts, dude. It's like this is the deepest conversation ever what these guys are talking about. You're like, imagine being a fly on the wall and you wouldn't have any clue what the fuck they're talking about, dude.
Get a sentence out of there?
What?
Can we get a sentence out of there?
President Lyndon B. Baines Johnson, through the magic of mystery and word, is associated with the Baal Bean Macbeth, as a reader can certainly understand now. I have no clue what the fuck that means.
That's a perfect sentence. As the reader can understand now. Clearly.
I have no clue what the fuck it means. But it's great. It's like deep. You just gotta.
It's really good. It's really good.
Dense.
And I had to really take my time to go through it. And I'm going to take. It was about 3 episodes I had to do this summer unpacking the whole thing, and I'll give you guys like the short version of what my interpretation of it is. And he talks about America is a witch's cauldron, and there's all these crimes that are ritualistic. He says he calls them psychopolitical psychodramas, and these are all performed to take us down this Luciferian end game, right? And he says that they do a slow rollout of these things. They call it the freeze, wait, revive, because they need people to accept their fate, right? Like they need America to become apathetic. And I've got a quote here. He says, episodic revelations of the same type stun them into inaction. All right. And he says stuff like Americans don't have the truth about which to rally. And this is all very kind of familiar, right? This is all kind of what we've been experiencing with the advent of the internet and smartphones and video and stuff like that. And he lays out the goal. I'm going to read you guys what he says the goal is, the end game. He says it's an endeavor to bring about syncretism in opposing principles of a mystic power and to green Israel, rebuild the Temple of Solomon, and establish a one world government. And this is what I'm saying is that I think that all ties into all of these past groups, your Knights Templars and your Assassins and so on, because they all want to reconnect with their God. They want all of us to reconnect with their God, this universal consciousness, this grand architect type stuff. And the method about which they do it is kind of like in the book 1984, there's the Ministry of Truth, and the Ministry of Truth splices the news and changes it according to what the party, the Big Brother, is trying to create this new world. There's a lot of like magical thinking involved in it.
I said this on Rogan that the old gods want to come out and play. They've been sneaking in clues about them forever in all the art, all that stuff, but they're tired of sitting in the background. They want to come out and they want to be playing, they want to be worshipped. Yeah. And I think that's what we're starting to see, the pushing out and the stepping out into the open of this old God's worship.
Right. And that ties into some of those things with AI and the dark enlightenment and so on. And how much time do we got left? I'll have to kind of like keep a pace on my notes here because
we have about 50 minutes.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. So let's keep talking King Kill 33, and then I want to get into Charlie Kirk. That's why I want to make sure we got time for that.
Leave space for XG to ask his question.
All right. So Downard thinks that all of these crimes, like the JFK assassination, massive events like that, aka Charlie Kirk, these are ritual crimes, and these are all done for this grand architect, and these are rituals that this God of theirs wants them to do to push us into this new age. And they say that the way they do it, because Downard was saying, and he unpacks all of the JFK assassination in his book about how they used all these things to make that happen, and we're not going to go through the details of that, but the Freemasons, that he refers to them as the Freemasons, the cryptocracy. He says they use the science of symbolism and gematria with Kabbalah and mystical toponymy, which is this witchcraft geography he describes, and the twilight language. And all of these things are used to speak to the subconscious of the masses and imprint the mind. Now, what's interesting to me is that I'm prepping an MK Ultra deep dive, and if you read Poisoner in Chief about Sidney Gottlieb, they talk about the ideas that MK Ultra used called psychic driving, and it sounded very similar to me. They would put people into suggestive states, and however they would do that, and they would repeat messages to them or symbols in order to brainwash them or create these alter identities and stuff like that. It sounded very similar to me. Like basically it's communication with the subconscious. And mystical toponymy is a big part of it for James Shelby Downard, which I'm also going to use to talk about Charlie Kirk. For Downard, he said that he tracks us through the Jornada del Muerto, which is the journey of the dead man. And the Jornada del Muerto starts at a sacrificial altar to the devil at Teotihuacan, at this temple site. That he says in Mexican mythology, it's actually the devil, but they call it a bat god. And it takes you through El Camino del Diablo, which is the devil's highway. And it takes you through El Paso to this Kern's place. Peter Kern was this guy who built this structure. It's not there anymore, but you can see like a monument for it. And they called it the Gate of Death or the Gate of 1,000 Doors.
What?
It's the craziest thing. Yeah, the story is supposedly that Peter Kern built this thing, and he's got a lot of weird symbolism in it. And when he was done with it, supposedly he had himself ritually sacrificed at the gate.
What?
And it's crazy stuff. I mean, if you look on Google and look around, you don't really see that version of events, but Downard says all this stuff, and I give him the benefit of the doubt in a way, because I think, man, I feel like our reality is so filtered. Who knows what's real, you know?
That is so crazy to sacrifice yourself. I have a lot of respect for that. Instead of sacrifice, I'll do it. I'll step up.
Yeah, at least he didn't pull any like innocent people into it, I guess, right?
Like, sacrifice me. I'm garbage. Let's go.
But this is where the 33 comes in, because he's referring to the 33rd degree parallel, because it runs through through Kern Place, the Jornada del Muerto, Roswell, which he didn't know about at the time. Roswell, the Trinity site, which he does talk about in the book a bunch, and Dealey Plaza, where they got JFK. Now, part of the ritual is this alchemical process he refers to as the sacred marriage. It's the Hieros Gamos. And it's the idea that and this is what the cryptocracy operates on. It's this idea that reality is formed through dual cosmic reality principles of masculine and feminine. And this is kind of what if you get into Kenneth Grant and like Peter Levenda's books about Kenneth Grant stuff, he'll talk a lot about Tantra and sex magic, and the Tantrics believed in this locking of Shiva and Shakti being what holds reality together. So anyway, this cryptocracy, they think that if you can break apart the masculine and feminine, you can liberate this primordial energy, which is in alchemy, the prima materia, so that you can rebuild the world as you desire, which is what the whole idea of the Trinity site was. It was to split the atom, right? You're trying to liberate this primordial energy. At least that's what Downard was really obsessed with, right? And in the king killing ritual, they symbolize it with a serpent crucified on the Tau cross, which is again a representative of male and female union. But another symbol is the Egyptian Trinity, and I know this is probably like fire hose of information.
I love it, dude. I'll listen to all of it.
Okay, all right. It'll make more sense when we get to Charlie Kirk. All right,
makes sense.
In the Egyptian Trinity is Osiris, Isis, and Horus, the father, the mother, and the child, and this was embodied with symbolism going back through Pythagoras and Euclid with the right triangle, right? And then, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But it's also utilized in what they call the 47th problem of Euclid, which if you like Google that, you'll see the symbolism of the 47th problem of Euclid, and that's what you'll see all over Freemasonry. Now, something else to throw out there: Trump is president 47. Is that related? It could be because of this Charlie Kirk thing happening at the same time. So the idea is that you've got this order and chaos that created our world, and they want to return everything back to chaos. They want to just destroy the primordial matter, and it's supposed to unleash this energy so they can, do this thing they're trying to do.
More butt stuff.
Exactly. That's what they're trying to sneak in there. and so when we get to JFK, he talks about how the killing of JFK was done as a symbolic reenactment of the murder of Hiram Abiff by the three assassins. That's another thing with the threes he's always talking about in that book. And Downard says that the killing of the king has to be done in correspondence with these ancient fertility rites. It has to be three assassins, and it has to be a murder that won't be solved, and it has to have this brotherhood in on it with their vow of silence. Okay? And when you think about the Charlie Kirk thing, the guy that because I look, without getting political here, if you look at all the information being released about this Tyler Robinson guy, the suspect, like the stuff ain't adding up. Like he has like 3 costume changes, and no one knows if he was a lefty or a righty, and there's a lot of weird things. And his trans friend or roommate or whatever has been missing. There's a lot of weird things, is what I'm saying. And I don't know if this murder is going to be solved appropriately or not. But his name Tyler is important because in Freemasonry, the guardian of the secrets, the guardian posted at the doors, goes by the title of Tyler. All right. And Tracy Twyman,
dude,
she's passed away, right? Occult researcher. She was deep into all this occult stuff, and she claimed she had channeled an AI spirit that went by the name of Tyler as well. Again, I'm kind of throwing a few things out here.
I'm in, dude. I'm in on all of it.
Try to come back through with it, right?
Hey guys, real quick, we're really proud to be sponsored by Raycon earbuds. That's right, Raycon Global. Listen, if you're looking for a holiday gift, I've been using Raycon Essential Open earbuds, and honestly, they're so good. I love them. I love that I can play my music and still hear what's going on around me. It's perfect for the gym or when I'm walking. And right now, listen, this is the best part. Right now, as I speak, they're up to 20% off for the holidays, so definitely grab them while you can.
Regular earbuds block out everything. You can't hear someone calling your name, a car honking, anything at all. You're going to get hit by a bus. These Raycon ones just sit on the outside of your ear canal, so you can get really clear sound, but you can actually also hear what's happening around you in the world. They're really light, and the ear hook part rotates, so they're actually staying in your ears. They're not falling out every time you whip your head around, or jog down the street. I've worn them at the gym, on walks, doing stuff around the house, and they don't fall out. They also don't get incredibly uncomfortable after just a half an hour of listening like so many others do. Raycon has over 3 million customers, and the sound quality is just as good as the way more expensive brands. They're half the price because they're not paying for celebrity endorsements. Look who's endorsing them. It's us, not celebrities.
Yeah, we're not celebrities. We're anti-heroes.
And all the retail markup stuff that the other companies have, they don't have any of that overhead. And if you don't like them, they have a 30-day guarantee. Think of that. And I just want to tell you about a couple of features that make them my everyday go-to. It's their open ear design, which allows for a breathable fit. They have this multi-angular look and a rotating ear hook that I mentioned before that ensures a secure, personalized fit for any activity. They're lightweight. They have multi-point connection, so you can connect to several devices and switch seamlessly between them. And 36 hours of battery life. That's crazy, dog.
Oh, that lasts forever. They're perfect for editing, perfect for the gym, perfect for the casino. You name it. They last, what, 36 hours? One more?
Well, yeah, it's 8 hours of earbuds plus 36 hours with the case.
Ooh, there you go.
Damn. So listen, the essential open earbuds are here for the holiday season and they're selling fast. Raycon audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. Go to buyraycon.com/tinfoil open to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. Order by December 15th, guaranteed delivered by Christmas because great gifts shouldn't show up late. And we thank them for sponsoring this show.
And we recall that right after the assassination, do you remember that video Donald Trump released from the White House? And there was that super weird AI glitch in it.
Yeah, it was a strange video. Yeah.
I don't know. It all seems weird, but if you look at it through the lens of James Shelby Downard and his ideas of synchromysticism, like that's the stuff I'm trying to piece together here about Charlie Kirk. Okay. And another element of this is that, like, to go back to the assassins, they were spreading this secret wisdom to the Knights Templar through their leader, and his name was Hassani Sabah. And they called Hassani Sabah the old man of the mountain because he lived in this remote mountain. The mountain is a symbolic, mystical symbolism of the pyramid of ascension going towards the gods. So when Charlie Kirk got shot, they took him to Timpanogos Hospital, which is in, that's the name of the mountain. There's a mountain in Utah called Mount Timpanogos. So again, there's something else kind of weird there, another weird piece there. So let's unpack a little bit of this Freemasonic parable. Then we're going to get into Charlie Kirk. So the Freemasonic parable, meaning it's like not actually what really happened, sort of, but they use this in the initiation rites of the third degree for a master mason, and they call upon they do a reenactment where they're the guy who was the architect of Solomon's temple, Hiram Abiff, right? He was kind of a Freemason in a way. He gets killed by three ruffians. Jubella, Jubello, and Jubellum. And what they were doing was, there's a couple interpretations. They were saying, they went to a Hiram Abiff, they're like, hey, we need our money. And he was like, we're not done yet. And then that's why they killed him. Another interpretation is that they were demanding the secrets from Hiram Abiff. They wanted the secret word. And this was...
What were their names again? Sorry?
Jubella, Jubello, Jubellum.
Jubella and Jubellum?
Money?
Jubella, Jubello. Yeah.
And they were after money. That's really
so on brand, dude.
Yeah,
so
like
on brand.
on the nose. A little too on the nose.
It's getting hot in here.
What a nose that is, too.
No, but that, I mean, is that just a coincidence, or is that what they're getting at there?
I didn't look at it that way, but it may be. I mean, they're all three of them have the similar name.
Curious.
It could be, yeah, because it ties into all that, because we're talking about the Temple of Solomon. We're talking about the rebuilding of Solomon's temple, and it has to do with Jerusalem and the people from that area. So I mean, you can't really separate that from the equation. You know what I mean?
That's curious.
But the idea is that these three people approached Hiram and they asked for the secrets. But in Freemasonry, they take a vow of silence. You cannot expose the secrets. So he did not, and they killed him. So James Shelby Downard takes this and compares it to the story of JFK's assassination, where they originally arrested the three tramps or the three hobos, which has its own side story you can go down, because one of them is supposedly Woody Harrelson's dad. And another one is supposedly Fred Chrisman, who was this intelligence officer who made contact with aliens, and he was hanging out with Harold Dahl, the guy who experienced the first Men in Black, and so on. It's kind of wild. In fact, I'm doing another quick plug. I'm doing a 2-part special series with Joel Thomas from Free the Rabbits, where we unpack 1947 and all of the strangeness around that.
Dude, oh my God, that would go on forever.
It's so much. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, we get into Fred Chrisman and Harold Dahl and the Maury Island incident, and Kenneth Arnold, and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, So that's the story, is that the 3 assassins kill Hiram Abiff, and all these Freemasonic lodges are modeled after Solomon's Temple. These things are all connected, okay? So let's get into Charlie Kirk. To me, I think what that whole thing was about order out of chaos. And it contributes to the cryptocracy feeding us, enough chaos, horror, terrible things, so that the people beg for order.
Yes,
In
that's
that order,
exactly it.
Yeah, and that order
XG.
will be the totalitarian one world government.
Ask your question.
No, I was just wondering where you were when Charlie got shot, because we watched it live. I know it was pretty crazy when we watched it. I was like, holy fuck. It was like traumatic. Like to this day, I still
No,
remember.
that's not what your question was. Your
That
question
was.
was, hey man, what did you, when you saw it, did you automatically think like something was up?
Oh yeah, that too. I mean, instantly, did you think it was like there was something like an inside job? I mean, I don't know.
That was your question. How do I know your question better than you know your question?
It was shocking for sure, right? Because I live in Utah. I don't live down where that.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't live down where that happened, but it was. I saw the video like everyone else, just populated on my feed, and I thought, it was shocking at first. In hindsight, I look at it, I think that's pretty crazy, and I think this is like, Professor Dana Pasulka, who is spending time with the UFO crowd, right? She talks about this exact thing in her book. She says they wanted to recruit her as being a professor of religious studies because they're trying to make a foundation of a religion which requires witnesses and foundational documents. And this was just like JFK. It was just like JFK. You had this very public assassination. Everyone's seen these gory videos, and I don't buy for one second that the social media companies couldn't have stopped these videos. I mean, they stop leaks immediately. If there's like some weird, I don't know, celebrity sex tape or something, I mean, that's gone, man, vaporized.
Dude, I got a push notification. I mean, it was like Charlie Kirk shot. You click on it, and it's just his whole throat being blown out. I mean, ugh.
Yeah,
that was all about traumatizing everybody.
Yeah,
over and over and over again.
It's too much. And I remember I grew up watching a lot of horror movies with my old man, and I remember renting the Faces of Death movies in the 90s.
Yeah,
and like, dude, those scenes are burned into my brain, and I don't want them. I'm like, I don't want to see that, man.
When the guy will accidentally parachuted into an alligator pit.
I don't remember that one.
Oh,
I remember a dude that had like a nurse, and he had a screwdriver, and I'm like, bro, and then like one was like the chick cutting up dogs. I was like,
if it makes you feel better, some of that was fake. So
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Do you guys remember like the one that I compare this to most directly was that guy who shot himself in that some kind of municipal government meeting? Remember, he has that gun in that paper bag and just chokes on it. You know? And it just blood. Oh, it was. I mean, that was.
It wasn't even that crazy of blood. That's all I always remember. Just a line comes down. He literally shot himself.
Oh, you didn't think it was that crazy? To me, that was like a river. I
thought it was crazy that he threw a press conference to blow his brains out. Yes, I thought that was crazy.
No, but I mean the blood. I thought it. To me, the impression I was left with. Maybe it's just because I was so young, but that was an absurd amount of blood. Like I was shocked at how much blood there was. But
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, everyone, it's like seared in your memory, right?
Yeah, we all got it.
Yeah. So like that was, and the timing of it, the date, because, in Downard's King Kill 33, he unpacks everything that could be involved in that JFK assassination with like location, dates, and all that stuff, right? Well, obviously this happened right the day before 9/11, which was another one of these main traumatizing events. And it was the day that the Epstein files are being voted on for release, and the Senate Republicans voted against releasing them that day, which automatically made the story go to the very bottom, right? Like everyone talked about Charlie Kirk for 2 weeks with nothing else going on. And then there was another. What else was weird? There was I'm gonna talk about the Freemason connections because that's a huge part of this. But there was something else weird about it with the kid who he asked the last question to Charlie, and it turns out his dad is allegedly a producer for the Jimmy Kimmel show, which then Jimmy Kimmel got canceled. Like it's just there's so much weird things going on here.
Or how about that kid practicing his reactions?
Yeah, what was that about?
That's just. I mean,
There's so many unexplained.
It's basically 9/11 in that there's so many layers to it. It's meant to muddy up the investigation or people's search for the truth. Like there's so many layers. You know, I mean, every day there was like, look at this gun over here. Here's a 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 gun. And it's done on purpose. So you're like, who knows who did it, dude?
It just seemed like there was a flood of information those first few days, and then it just absolutely nothing. They arrested this Tyler guy, and then that was it. Not another word spoken. Anyway, so
That
let's talk
Tyler
about,
stuff is really weird too. There's no
so
video
weird.
of his arrest. No one's actually seen him. He only appears in like weird stills. I mean, it's just. I mean, I think he's a patsy. I don't think he did it.
that's my gut feeling on it too.
Is he even real? I heard the theory he's not even real because no one's even.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, like all he does is sit in a video. He just sits there. I mean, look at the AI that we're using now on these apps. How like realistic that shit looks. Imagine what the government has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So the event happened in Utah, right? Which Utah is known for the LDS Mormons, right?
Yep.
And the LDS are, Joseph Smith, the founder of it, was a Freemason, and he based a lot of their rituals and symbolism on Freemason concepts. So immediately that's where my mind goes, is like to look into all that stuff, right? And the theories, some theories, some ideas that we could talk about, like what if Charlie Kirk violated some kind of vow of silence? Like he obviously got close enough to the power structures that he was giving a massive platform. You guys know how hard it is to like get popping online and get an audience. Like it's not easy. So I believe that people that get to his level, someone's got to be the gatekeeper to let you through. And it seems that maybe he wasn't towing the line. Maybe he was going to reveal a secret. Who knows? There's lots of theories people can, figure out. But
Well, they hate when they blow you up and you try to go off reservation. And like
Right.
it's so crazy that this Charlie Kirk thing is such a big moment for everybody, but these rappers get assassinated left and right. Like left and right, dude. And they're always about to go off, do their own thing, or they're about to change their message or any of that shit. That's when it always pops off. When they no longer want to play ball or they want to make the money for themselves. We had Jamie Josta from Hatebreed on Cash Daddies, and he was talking about how he wanted to start putting his concert films on his own website. And someone goes, "That's great, but you better cut them in." And I go, "Yep, dude, if you start trying to make money, and not pay off the people who blew you up, they get real fucking pissed, dude."
Yeah.
And you could look at Michael Jackson, Prince, Louis C.K., everybody who was blown up and then started wanting to do their own thing and cut out the guys who blew them up. Like Louis C.K. was putting out his own specials on his website, putting out sitcoms on his website, and they're like, "Nope, bang," and they blew up something that it's not right, but it's also not the craziest thing in the world. You ask chicks if you can jerk off in front of them, they're like, "Yeah, jerk off," and then you jerk off in front of them, they're like, "Oh my god, you're jerking off from me." It's like, it's not right. I'm not saying it's right, but is it worth getting excommunicated from everything? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I totally get that. And I've changed my tune on Michael Jackson a bit recently. I used to be pretty hard on the guy, and I was like, bro, I think he was messing with them kids, because I think if I had a son, a 12-year-old son, and the neighbor down the street who had a choo-choo train and an amusement park in his backyard was like, "Hey, come let your kids sleep in my bed with me. We'll have a sleepover." I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Dude,
that's
no,
it,
you're
dude.
a pedophile, bro."
Yeah. I mean, dude,
But-
if you're sleeping in bed with kids, come on, dude.
But I just don't know what to think of the whole thing, because like he obviously was through some serious traumas, and then he was messing with the label and saying stuff about some of the groups of the things that we've been talking about here, and I think, man, maybe he did get taken out. Maybe he was in
I
it.
Both
think
things
both
can be true.
Yeah. There we go. Jinx. Yeah.
If you look at Deshaun Watson with the Houston Texans and the Cleveland Browns, it's like he tried to leave right? He tried to leave the Houston Texans, who were helping him get women to sign NDAs to give him handies. So when he left, they're like, nah. When he's like, I want to leave, they're like, you're not leaving. He's like, yeah, I'm leaving. Nope, you're not leaving. And then bang, the scandal happens. He never recovers from it. So both can be true. He could be trying to get away and also not be a good person. I just find it hard to believe that a guy who lets children sleep in his bed, occasionally your kid wants to crawl in the bed with you because they're scared or they're cold or whatever. Yeah, sleep in the bed. It's fine.
Your kid. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like some rando person's kid sleep in my bed with me. You're like, get the fuck out of here.
And you said, I mean, you have the Tiger Beat argument too, which I think is as compelling as anything, right? It's like,
yeah, I know somebody. She's in the other room. I don't want to say her name, but Dana used to work with Michael Jackson, and she did his video. I'm in a Michael Jackson video.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
music
about
video.
that.
Yeah. So she's cleaning up his green room, and there's Tiger Beat magazine everywhere.
Oh,
that is for everybody who doesn't know, for all the youngins out there.
Well, Tiger Beat magazine was this illusion that they told us where young girls want to see young boys dress up like they were in photo shoots, and you're like, oh, what young girl wants this? Oh yeah, I know which one. Pedophiles.
Oh, terrible.
Tiger Beat magazine was totally a pedo fucking.
I never even thought about that. Oh, that's terrible.
Right?
Well,
just crazy.
So so Charlie Kirk might have found himself in a similar predicament, right? He might have been upsetting people that put him in the place that he was at. Now, something curious, I was looking up the Master Mason ritual, which is all about the murder of Hiram Abiff. And in the ritual, multiple times they go on and on and on about how Hiram Abiff was killed in the hour of noon. And that's also the same time when Charlie Kirk was killed, in the hour of noon. It was at like 12:23 p.m. And furthermore, at the Master Mason initiation ritual, they list the items that are present at the ceremony, and one of them is a beehive. In Utah is the beehive state. Like it employs all of this Freemasonic bee symbolism everywhere. Then you had Erica Kirk wearing that giant ring with the G on it, which is, the compass and square of Freemasonry has the G, which means Grand Creator. It's, again, all about blood sacrifices for the Grand Creator. Another element in Freemasonry, there's a term used for Freemasons. They're all called the widow's son, referring to the widow of Hiram Abiff. And now Erica Kirk is this widow. Then you have the symbolism of 33, where Kash Patel came out and said, he said, in less than 36 hours, and then he stops us. He goes, wait a minute, 33 to be precise. We
so crazy,
arrested this guy. And I'm like, it's crazy because like this is this Trump administration, like this is the conspiracy crew. Like they, of anyone, should be the ones to be like, hey man, you say these certain terms and all these conspiracy nuts are going to start going off and digging into stuff, right? Then well, we talked about the Tyler. So Tyler Robinson, the guy that's arrested, already talked about how Tyler is the guardian of Freemasonry. And if you look up the history of Utah Valley University, where he was killed, it started in Provo. And even though Charlie Kirk was killed at the Orem campus, but Provo is a name that comes from a fur trapper named Etienne Provost. And that name comes from a Latin term that means one who is placed in charge as an overseer or a guardian. So again, there's like this connection of the guardian, the Tyler. And then also Tyler, remember when they were searching for Tyler, Grok, I think, is the one that composed the AI drawing, and it showed this guy with a hat with a triangle on it, which is again another calling card of the Illuminati. Then you've got the top cop that was giving a lot of the press updates. His name is Bo Mason, again with the Mason stuff. Then and look, self-professed, like when it comes into these things, I'm not the kind of conspiracy guy that's like, oh my God, proof positive. I'm throwing it all out there because this is the kind of stuff that King Kill 33 looks at these kinds of things and says, this is proof, right? But the staging area where Kirk was sitting when he got shot, if you look at the bird's eye view, it was a 5-sided shape like a home plate in baseball. And the godfather of baseball, even though apparently he didn't actually invent it, was Abner Doubleday, who was a prominent Freemason and Theosophist. which strange fact, they immediately tore down and destroyed that area where Charlie Kirk got killed. Like immediately.
So crazy.
Immediately. And then they lied and said, oh no, this was on contract, but then someone leaked some text messages that showed otherwise. There's so many weird things happening with this case. And then finally, Utah is obviously, you got the LDS with the Freemasons and all that stuff. We have a lot of strange connections to intel here, intelligence agencies. We've got the Bumble Hive where the NSA stores all of the data that they're scraping from all of our accounts, violating all of our Fourth Amendment rights. Then you've got the Mormons. They take their own vow of silence. They also do the Freemasonic secret handshakes, secret names. The LDS missionaries, they go on missions and they learn multiple languages. And this makes them key recruits for CIA, FBI, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So like BYU, Brigham Young University, is known to feed
goodies this year, just like global R&B singer Sierra.
What the fuck was that?
Sierra. Remember
fuck
Sierra
is
was in a
that?
music video. She had some Golden Dawn pants on one time. Speaking of like magic
That
and
is
stuff.
so crazy.
Was that on my end or your end?
It's got to be on not XG's end, Johnny.
I'm muted, so couldn't have been me.
Okay.
She was
XG
looked
XG
awfully
looks
nervous. So, he was
XG looks awfully nervous. As he on World Star Hip Hop, just fucking getting the real news.
So in conclusion, Utah, we've got lots of this Freemasonry symbolism, including the bee, right? The bee is a symbol of magic, ties into Freemasonry and so on. Well, we also have to talk about Solomon's Temple because that's connected here as well, because Provo is what they call Zion Corridor. And there's in Utah, there's all kinds of weird names like Zion and New Jerusalem. The Utah Zion National Park is probably the most famous. And the Mormons, they use that term Zion because it's literally associated with this end times eschatology stuff that they believe in. Again, dealing with the rebuilding of the Temple of Solomon. And there's a New Jerusalem they want to build in Missouri because they think that's where the Garden of Eden was. It gets kind of wacky, right? But the Mormons are very much Zionist. They're very much big into having Israel maintain its status of where they are. And when it comes to
what's
Kirk,
interesting, Isaac,
Huh.
sorry to cut you off, is that during the Q craze, right, when all the Q stuff was going out, there was all this talk about Trump going to Utah and the Mormons to use their courts for what he wanted to get done. So because they were like their own faction, so they weren't corrupted. I don't forget what the reason they gave up, but it was very interesting because Utah was a big part of the Q drops. And now you get into Freemasonry and you get into Israel and the whole notion that Q was somehow connected to Israel is very interesting to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it seems that way. And that goes into the point I was going to make is that, do you remember, I think it was last year on 60 Minutes, they interviewed a guy from Mossad. He had a black ski mask and sunglasses on, and he was talking about the exploding pagers that killed all them people in the Middle East. And he said something to the effect of how, the whole world's a stage and we're the ones writing the play. And
Crazy.
And it's pretty crazy. Like he said that out loud on TV, and I was like, yo, they're like telling everybody the truth. And then there's theories that Charlie Kirk's microphone that he had on his shirt was actually like an exploding pager, which kind of makes sense because it jumps really far. I don't know, man. The whole thing is strange. But here's what's weird. Here's where I want to take this with the whole, that element of this story. Charlie Kirk's father was an architect, kind of like Hiram Abiff. He was a Mason builder type, or Tubal Cain. And his father was the architect of Trump Tower.
Oh,
right?
yeah, dude.
The one that Trump lives in. Trump lives on the 66th floor, and he's got the artwork of Apollo, or Abaddon, the God King Destroyer, who Plato said Abaddon can only be appeased through blood sacrifices. And if you look at the tower that Charlie Kirk's dad built, it has from a bird's eye view, you can see an inverted pyramid. And there's 6 trees on each side of that pyramid, so 666. And then you have the tower itself. There's actually 7 uprights, like obelisks or phalluses. And that could tie into this whole weird 6'7" thing. All these kids are saying 6'7" constantly, right? And the whole, I did a whole show on 6'7" and how it goes back to this Philly rapper who's doing Santeria, which is all about blood sacrifices to the pagan gods. Again,
it's so crazy. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And then I got one more component, then we'll wrap it up. When you get into Downard's King Kill 33, he talks a lot about Shakespeare, magic, and witchcraft. And this goes all back to the three sisters of Macbeth, the three witches, right? And he says that the three witches are the Tres Hermanas, which ties into the Tres Hermanas Mountains and all this stuff. Anyway, point is that Utah is home to, I think might be the world's largest or one of the world's largest Shakespeare festivals at Southern Utah University. Then another component here, Tyler Robinson that got arrested. Reportedly, he was driving a Dodge Challenger, which I don't know if the model he was driving was a Hellcat or not, but Hellcat is kind of like the most famous model of Dodge Challenger. And, a Hellcat is a literal witch. Then you've got September 8th, which was 2 days before the assassination, that article that I'm sure everyone already knows about by now. There was an article written on Jezebel about how this journalist went on Etsy to hire a witch to put a hex on Charlie Kirk because they didn't like Kirk's rhetoric about, like women shouldn't have these freedoms and they need to stick to raising kids and all this sort of traditional talk, right? And the hex, maybe it went too far because he or she paid the witch on Etsy to do a boost of the spell to amplify the current. And the witch told the journalist, like, look, you're going to see results in 2 to 3 weeks now that I've amplified the ritual. And if you read through the article, it says that the spell was casted on the new moon of August, which I looked up as August 23rd. And exactly in the middle of that 2 to 3 weeks after that was September 10th when Charlie Kirk was killed. So you've got this connection of witchcraft and Shakespeare as well. Now, there's obviously a lot more you could talk about with Charlie Kirk.
Do you think that reporter was freaking the fuck out?
I would.
After she wrote that article and then bang, you're like, oh no, what have I done? And do you think that psychic or that witch like uses that in her like advertisements?
I mean, look, in the article, the journalist makes it sound like very clearly, and I don't know if this was the original writing or they all edited it after the shooting, but said very much clearly, like, look, I'm not trying to hurt him. I just want him to be embarrassed and be annoyed and have a terrible day. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
How much did they pay? I mean, I know you don't know, but like, how much do you think they paid for that? What, $100? Under $100?
What does it cost to get somebody assassinated?
I want to say it was a couple $100. But remember, also Trump also was the recipient of the witchcraft stuff during his first term. Remember, like Lana Del Rey and a couple of these other celebrities were doing asking the public to participate in witchcraft rituals against Donald Trump, and he almost got assassinated a couple times. So
I wonder, do you think the president has like an anti witchcraft like circle that's kind of all just like counter spells, like this is a video game?
Yeah, for sure. Right? That would be an option, right? Because I've heard that a lot of those politicians, even if they're not into the occult, they'll still have astrologers on staff to tell them when to do certain things, right? Totally. So I wouldn't put it past that, right?
Well, supposedly in the astro realm, they have security in the White House of the astro realm,
really,
to protect the president there too.
That's crazy.
That's the CIA.
So if they believe that, then they got to have protection here too. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
Wow.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, the whole Charlie Kirk thing is fascinating. You could go on for days. I mean, the conspiracies they keep falling out. Like the whole that private jet that took off from Provo right after Charlie Kirk was shot, it disappeared off the radar. The tail number was N888KG, and the 888 stands out automatically to me. And I look up, Crowley had a book, Liber 888, which was the gospel according to St. Bernard Shaw, which was basically Crowley's critique of Christianity, saying it's, all a fraud and stuff like that. Then you have the weird stuff about his autopsy that may or may not have happened, even though Utah has a law that says you must do it.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where Charlie Kirk
Valhalla,
is buried.
brother. Valhalla.
The Valhalla thing. But the point is, to sort of sum all this up, it's, to me, it fits into James Shelby Downard's theories, right? It's order out of chaos. You see these awful things happening. Like, I don't want to see that dude get shot. That was terrible, right? Like, that was traumatic. And this is possibly a component of an occult witch magic spell. Like, we could throw it out there, but overall, it's still a political psychodrama, which is what Downard said that the JFK assassination was all about. They want chaos. They want political strife. They want possibly a civil war, which, I don't know if you saw the news, right? In Washington, D.C., there people shot and killed some National Guard. And also, and off topic, right? But I watched one battle after another, and they literally show you how it's done. The military presence is in the city, and there's protesters, and Sean Penn, who plays like the commander, he's like, hey, send in Van Halen or whatever his name was. And there's this guy with a Van Halen shirt who pretends he's a protester, and he throws a Molotov cocktail so that the military can start like firing at the protesters.
Yeah. And that secret society in that film, I mean, is clearly, Satan worshiping elites. Like, they call them like the Society of Saint Nick or whatever. It's like,
they say, Hail Saint Nick. And I'm like, clearly that's Satan, right?
Yeah. There's a lot.
So
There's a lot in that film. I look forward to your breakdown if you haven't done it yet.
Here is my last questions. Candace Owens, what do you think her role in all this is?
Man,
Do you
I don't listen to her much. I don't get into political stuff too much, but I've seen clips here and there, and she seems pretty interesting to me. I don't know. I've seen the stuff of her being on some kind of talent scouting stuff when she was a teenager. I don't know if I care about that too much, but her and the dude with the big mustache you guys had on before.
Ian Carroll.
they've been talking about this, like they've been going hard in the paint on this, and all the stuff they talk about takes you very much into the heart of the stuff that I'm talking about. It goes to the Holy Land and this Temple of Solomon stuff, and sort of stoking this end times fantasy. So I don't know if I question everybody that's at the level of a Candace Owens or a Tucker Carlson, and with both of them, I hear stuff they say that I like. I hear stuff that they say that I don't like. So it's kind of hard to get a grip on what I should believe or take into it. And ultimately, I find myself, when I started this journey in 2011 of trying to understand all this stuff, I was consuming content from a lot of sources, and I found myself trying to stay offline and reading more into the books and the stuff, especially like the older, the better for me. Cause then I'm like, okay, these guys were doing, like Downard was doing this before there was any money, any publicity, any clout, any fame. Like this dude was doing it strictly for vibes, man. So I think to me that goes a long way. And I don't know. I've been digging deep into some of the old school stuff lately. And I find that to be a little more enlightening than stuff to me, like this newer stuff with some of these big figures. I just question their motives and how they got to where they're at, and the paranoia side of my conspiracy brain takes over with some of these people. And that's not to say I discount them or I think they're liars or nothing like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's more of a for me, finding my truth in things. I try not to lean too heavy into some of the things they say.
Final question: do you think all these lower G gods are fallen angels?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm all in on this this stuff that what we're witnessing with the UAP disclosure stuff, with AI. It all ties back to Book of Enoch and the Watchers and all that stuff. I think making contact with these energies, these spirits, some could be demonic, some could be angelic. I don't know the difference. It's hard to have that discernment to know the difference. And that's kind of what everything I learned in Orthodoxy tells you is like, we don't have that. God was the only one that had that power of discernment to know the difference. So it's dangerous to me, right? For the same reason I used to do ghost hunting and stuff like that. And like, I pumped the brakes on all that because you can get caught up in some dangerous territories, I think. And that's not to say that, like, I want to go to Skinwalker Ranch. Like, I want to go see the UFOs. Is that a little dangerous? I think it is. I wouldn't advocate everyone do that. In fact, if I was smart, I wouldn't. But I'm curious about it.
Did you encounter anything crazy briefly when you were doing ghost hunting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I did a whole. So me and my wife also do a podcast called Breaking Social Norms, and we did a 2-hour episode where I went through the whole history of every ghost hunt that I did that I had effects and stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't have any evidence. This is back in 99 to like 2001, and I didn't have cameras. I didn't have none of that stuff back then. So unfortunately, people got to take me for my word. But yeah, we've had a lot of crazy paranormal stuff, enough that we both like kind of cut it out, and we're like, okay, I don't want this stuff following me around anymore.
I respect that, brother. Great episode, dude. As always, dropping knowledge. One more time, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, I brought coupons. I forgot to tell you guys. So if people go to my Patreon, go to patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher. Use promo code SWARM, SWARM. You got till December 12th. You'll get it for a real nice price. And you can check out my 3-part King Kill 33 mega deep dive I did this summer. Crazy stuff in there. He talks about the old dirt road and the crossroads where they were doing sex magic with cross-dressing, and that ties into Lil Nas X and Old Town Road. You saw how he's losing his mind recently. Could it be he's also part of this, right?
Yeah.
And then another crazy thing I found that there was a dig they did for the Hellfire Club caves, and that dirt they used to build a road for the cybernetic department for artificial intelligence at Brunei University. That's all in the James Shelby Downard book. This is like crazy stuff that I'm finding. But yeah, go use that promo code SWARM till December 12th. Or if you want to be on that free feed loser status, just occult symbolism and pop culture everywhere.
All right, man. Great episode. You're always welcome back. Thanks for doing it. Let's break down the episode. All right, guys. What'd you think of the man, the myth, the legend, Isaac Weishaupt, Raiders fan?
You think was that a real? Or you think he was just trying to represent for you?
No, dude. No, he's a total Raiders fan.
You weren't even a Raider fan. I went to a Raider game with you, and I saw you cheering for the Browns a little bit. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, because I want the first pick. That's why. That's what a true Raider fan wants right now. You're a real idiot if you're like, let's win the rest of the game so we can get a shitty pick.
I totally agree.
Burn the whole thing down. Get the number one pick. I got some of these. I'm going to make a statement right now to everybody. If the Raiders have a top 3 pick and they don't get one of these quarterbacks, I may jump ship.
Oh,
if they're like, let's
jump off a bridge, but yeah, jump ship too. That would be.
If they're like, oh, dude, let's use this top 3 pick on a defensive lineman. Yeah.
What if it's like a left tackle though? Because you guys have no offensive line.
Bro, we got nothing without quarterback.
I agree.
Nothing. We have nothing. Talk garbage. Anyways, Isaac Weishaupt always brings the goods. That Kill 33 book is, look at this guy. I hope to someday look like that when I'm older. That's what I'm going to look like. By the way.
Hair for that age.
What?
That's great hair for that age. So you have
great hair for that age. I mean, he's just doing it, dude. He's got it going on. You know? It's nuts, dude. But again, if you get into the, the last episode with Amy and then this episode, it's like, it's so deep, dude. It's like crazy to me, the whole thing. So it's nuts. All right. What'd you guys think?
It was great. He deserves a spot on the Mount Crushmore, like we talked about it. He ain't going anywhere.
For sure, dude. For sure. Guys, if you go to samtripoli.com, check out my dates. I am going to be in Minneapolis next weekend or this week coming up. Then I'm going to be, 2 weeks. Sorry about that. Then I'm going to be New Year's Eve at the Dojo of Comedy. Then I'm going to be the big show January 10th at Atlantic City, Word War Debate. Grab your tickets now. We're hoping it's going to be it's going to be fire. We already got a couple names. I'm so excited. So
are you excited?
Yeah. I just go to samtripoli.com. You get all my premium content, cash days. Talk about cash days, Johnny.
Well, if you want to come hang out with Isaac Weishaupt, he is a member of the Cash Daddies.
He is a member of the Cash Daddies militia.
Absolutely.
He's a reader.
And if you, he participates in the weekly Q&A with the premium members there. If you support us on Patreon, you get to ask questions every week. Howie gives a ton of great advice. If you want things explained, he does that there. And it's just like an extra part of the podcast every week for you, for you folks. And we answer every question. So yeah, go check it out. It's all about finance.
Why can't that guy just go today's picks? Why can't he just do that? Go down,
He
everybody.
really doesn't understand it. It's just,
Chaos Twins. Let's freaking go. Grab issue 2. We want to get it up. 200 people have subscribed. We want to get it up. Grab it right now. It is fire. Dana makes her debut in the comic book. She goes under Dana. She got a fat ass in it. It's
she
great.
goes under Dana? Really?
It's like Danny is her name in the thing.
Well, I got
So-
creative there, huh? Danny.
Yeah. Well,
Isn't that
thank
what
you.
your kids call her?
Yes, they did when they were younger.
That's cute.
Go back down, and then of course all of our affiliates are just fire. Rife Technology, Buy Gold and Silver, Prometheus, Chemical Free Body. I gotta get back to Tim James. I was supposed to call him yesterday. I'm so sick. And then Brain Supreme. Talk about it.
Best thing you can buy, go get yourself some micro dosing now.
Yeah, dog.
Let's do it. So, XG, what do you got to push?
Go check out my podcast, Actually Marks the Spot. I talk about the Vegas trip and the Raider game, so go check it out, please.
Okay, and then you probably gave away how much parking was, so that plan goes out the door.
I did it.
What?
I didn't. No, I really didn't.
Okay, Johnny.
Check us out, Broken Simulation. We are at youtube.com/Sam Tripoli. We're going to be going live sometime. So yeah, if you subscribe and put on alerts, you'll know.
Go down.
Live.
Go down, XG. Look at the doom scrolling thumbnail.
Oh, that's a good one.
So funny, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of cut off. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, look at that, dude. We don't look like anything like that. I look like Josh Wolf. He looks like the guy from Hellboy.
He looks like Steven Dorff is who he looks like.
Yeah.
You look like
You
Josh.
do look like Josh Wolf. You're right. Yeah.
I love that a better looking version of me is my friend.
Well, I mean,
All right, guys.
Life.
Back to Isaac Weishaupt, Pure Fire episode. It's like, again,
we love
it's so deep. Stop fighting over Republicans and Democrats. You're getting manipulated by secret societies who do a lot of butt stuff in temples. Okay?
Yeah.
They're just doing butt
Right.
stuff. And do you think they knew anything about washing your ass back in the 1500s? No, dude.
Oh boy.
It was just pure
That's
garbage.
why that's why they actually call them the poor fellows. It's because of
Those poor fellows.
those poor fellows.